Hello everybody and welcome to Brony FanFics. I'm back after my small hiatus. I think that's what people call it. Who am I kidding? No one calls it that. But anyway, I'm back with Crisis Equestria and I'm eager to get further into the story. So yes, without further ado, let's go. Crisis Equestria, Chapter 19, Invigoration. A bright flash sparked into existence. Heck is happening? Twilight finished. It had been practically instantaneous, but now Twilight and her friends found themselves very suddenly somewhere completely different. Where are we? Fluttershy squeaked as she huddled in closer to the others. Rarity taking point in assuring the Pegasus that some pony was there. I don't know, Twilight admitted. But this definitely isn't the hallway we were just in. Where in Equestria did that teleporter take us? Oh my! And where did TikTok and the boys get to? Rarity pouted as she looked around. How awful! Oh, I do hope they're okay. Why didn't the teleport spell bring them here with us? Twilight sighed. Maybe they were out of range or something. Whatever happened, it looks like we're on our own now. In trying to figure a way out of here. Wherever here is. Darn. I wish I had that map of hers, though, so we could at least find out where exactly we are in the ruins compared to them. At least they don't look like the rest of the ruins, Applejack observed. It's too neat. True enough, the massive chamber they were now in was certainly not as dark or dirty as the hallways of the ruins, and actually appeared rather clean. The entire room, larger than even the entryway they'd slept in that morning, was brightly lit by what appeared to be torches of some kind. They flickered like flames, and yet even still they appeared to be magical in nature, quite similar to the campfires that Twilight herself had been making. Only these flickered a bizarre green and not Twilight's characteristic bluish purple. The decorations were minimal. No columns or plaques or metallic flowers and vines, but there were two grandiose, odd word, grandiose, I'm just going to say that, grandiose, I'm going to stop trying to see how that word is pronounced, grandiose Griffin statues standing easily 15 ponies tall at either side of the massive doorway that seemed to lead further into the complex, undressed in what appeared to be formidable armour and weaponry. The other in elaborate robes and holding a book, both decorated lavishly with golds and silvers and gems that reflected the light of the chamber torches in rather beautiful fashion. The room was otherwise a perfect square, with markings all along the floor that made Twilight very curious indeed. At first glance they appeared to be more hieroglyphics, but as she examined them closely she could see that I've scrolled too far, here we go. But as she examined them closely she could see that they were something completely different, more akin to runic markings than anything else. The still glowing section of floor they were standing on intrigued Twilight the most, though, as it was shaped exactly like the sign she found on the tablet back in the hallway, a 6-pronged star which glowed a bright pinkish purple, overlaid atop another, smaller 6-pronged star that glowed a dim silvery white. It looked almost exactly like her cutie mark, minus the tiny starbursts around it. A curious thought that did not set her mind at ease in the least. Is this the sanctuary the riddle was talking about, then? Rainbow asked as she looked around the room, taking a few steps off the sigil they were standing on. Pinkie followed close behind her, and Rarity and Fluttershy followed suit with Applejack, until just Twilight was left standing where they'd came in from. If it is, it seems pretty, not library-ish, Applejack said flatly. This must be the lobby or something, and that looks like the doorway just ahead, Twilight suggested. Come on, no sense in loitering about. Let's find out what's beyond here, and then we'll figure a way to get back to the others. I'm worried about... As soon as Twilight stepped off the glowing mark on and onto the floor of the rest of the chamber, the entire room reacted. Bright golden streams of magic raced out of the 12 prongs on the star, and snaked their way through all the runic markings until the entire floor glowed with a more brilliant luster than the most pristine gold they'd ever seen, making even the Goldridge Pass look quite plain in comparison. The spots of floor between the golden streams now could be clearly seen in their natural olive green colour, which followed suit and began to glow as well shortly after. Whoa, Twilight gasped. Why does that keep happening? What exactly does keep happening anyway? Applejack scratched her head. Every time y'all get near anything around this place, it starts acting funny. It's getting weird. I'm not doing anything on purpose. Twilight shook her head. I honestly have no idea what's going on or how it's happening. It's like everything's reacting to me for some reason, but not to any other unicorns. This is very strange. Well, whatever it is, it's certainly making this dark and dingy place more bearable, Rarity added. This chamber, at least, appears relatively clean. I can finally drop this silly bubble of mine. Are you feeling alright, Fluttershy, darling? Oh, yes, I'm fine. Fluttershy nodded. Still a little dizzy, but that might be from the teleport magic. I felt a little dizzy the few times Twilight used it before. Oh, you poor dear, Rarity pouted. She stepped over to the Pegasus and did her best to make things comfortable so that they could walk together. Come on then, let your dear friend Rarity help you. I know I don't have a wing to support you, but I will do my best, darling. Oh, thanks, Rarity, Fluttershy said weakly, but I don't really... Rarity laughed. Nonsense! Just stick close to me and you'll be walking in no time, darling. Twilight and her friends continued along the chamber floor towards the massive doorway ahead. Every step each of them took upon the floor made it glow beneath their hooves, with silvery light that spread outward several feet above them. As the golden streams of magic continued to crawl along through the strange writing, it hit the walls of the chambers and began to climb along through the markings there as well, following along until it did the same to the ceiling several dozen yards above them. Soon enough, the entire chamber was glowing in golds and greens and silvers with enough light that Twilight and the others had to shield their eyes from it. Golly, who turned on the sun? Applejack said in annoyance. It's brighter in here than a clear summer day back on the farm. Look at all these markings, Twilight gasped as she looked down while walking ahead. These definitely aren't hieroglyphics. These are runic markings. Runes were used in ancient times as magic conductors for extremely powerful spells. This whole chamber is covered with runes. There's enough magic here that I could easily teleport at least a dozen ponies simultaneously, at a very great distance, like other sides of the world distance even. Well, that explains how we ended up here, wherever here is exactly. Rainbow nodded. Well, wherever we are, it's a great deal of magical importance. Twilight nodded. As far as magical radiance nearby is concerned, this room isn't even scratching the surface. Rarity, can you sense it too? Oh yes, I believe I can. Rarity nodded. Up ahead, there's a very strong presence of magical energies. I can't quite put my hoof on it, but some of them feel familiar. If I can sense it so clearly, it must be something fantastic. I just hope it isn't dangerous, Pinky muttered as she moved in close to Rainbow Dash. It doesn't feel like anything malevolent. Twilight shook her head. Yeah, come on, Pinks, just relax, okay? Rainbow urged. We'll figure our way out of here, no problem. Then we'll be back on track with everything. There ain't anything to be afraid of, understand? They came to the doorway and walked through its generously sized arch, coming to what appeared to be another hallway. The golden magic was barely trickling through it here, giving enough light to let them see without assistance from Twilight or Rarity, but not enough to be comfortable. The walls on their left were adorned with various displays of objects and devices that Twilight ogled with great interest, though She was distracted by the others, all looking at what they found more interesting. Along the walls on their right were the grandest engravings they'd ever seen in the form of extremely elaborate and detailed depictions of Griffin achievements. And judging from the labels, they were glowing softly. And judging from the labels that were glowing softly, purple, and clearly written in equine for now, they were all achievements in the fields of magic. Even the engravings themselves were a wondrous display of magical aptitude, colourful and bright enough to almost be looking out of a window into the past. The first displayed a Griffin using what appeared to be a telescope to look out into the starry sky above, which was coated with some of the most gorgeous details they'd ever seen, churning nebulae, swirling galaxies, flickering stars, and trailing comets decorated the false sky, all of them moving and fluctuating as if in real time, and with their extremely realistic renditions. Magic was one thing, and art was another, but magical art was something far beyond imagination. Discovery, Circa 0 AD, Twilight read aloud from the placard. Our ancestors just discovered the existence of magic during the declining rule of the Emperor Gamaliel the 28th. The Great Schism ends as Griffin kind come together to learn more about the new universe they'd uncovered. Incredible. The Griffins of this world discovered magic through cosmic origin. They harness the stars. Astral magic is some of the most potent there is. No wonder this place reeks of so much magical power. How long ago was this? Reti asked curiously. Further, when was this grand piece of exquisite art created? It looks brand new. Well, who's saying Twilight? Well, since I guess the Griffins amended their calendar after the discovery of magic, we won't know until we see something depicting events around their final days, Twilight explained. The AD must stand for After Discovery, judging by the date listed here. After this event, apparently Griffin culture completely changed to revolve around magical study. Fascinating stuff. Yeah, a whole society of eggheads, Rainbow said in a joking awe. Sounds right up your alley, Twilight shot her a look, but shook it off. They continued along the hall and came across a second grand art piece, depicting a Griffin holding aloft a tiny rod that was obviously something great importance, as told by how much focus in the art was focused on emphasizing it. The rod itself glowed a bright silver, and the elaborately detailed magical auras emanated from it shined with every colour imaginable, making the entire piece itself seem to exude a great deal of energy. Twilight read aloud again. The dawn of a new age, Circa 101 AD. The brilliant scientist Gordine, under direction of the newly appointed Grand Council of Elders, invents the wand, ushering Griffin kind into a new age of magical study and practice. Gordine is named first lawkeeper in honor of his achievement, and the Sanctuary of Knowledge is constructed to begin diligent studies on the magics of the universe. Do all Griffins have names starting with G? Rainbow asked with honest sincerity. Well, now that's a hasty generalization, Rainbow, Twilight said quickly. We only know 2 Griffins from this world. And two from ours, Rainbow reminded. All 4 of them with names starting with G. I think I'm seeing a pattern here, Twilight responded flatly. 4 Griffins is hardly a basis to assume their entire society follows the naming scheme, Rainbow Dash. Well, I'm just saying is all, Rainbow shrugged. At this rate, I'm going to start feeling pretty weird that I called Gilda G all those years. I wonder why she never said anything about it. The third picture depicted several griffins standing around some sort of object, which like the small rod in the previous piece, was highly emphasized with colours and lights that orbited and churned around it. The object itself appeared to be a box or cube of some kind, with various sorts of markings and grooves on it that glowed bright golds and silvers. The Age of Technomagic, circa 511 AD. The first technomagic device, a magical power converter, is invented. More follow, bringing Griffin kind into an era of supreme advancement as the dominant race of Gryphonia. Construction of the Elysian Island research facility begins, beginning our race's rapid advancement in the technomagic field beyond even our own predictions. Where in the hay is Gryphonia? Applejack asked. It sounds to me like the Griffins didn't call this planet Equestria at all, Twilight said flatly. They thought they were something else, huh? Rainbow huffed. Fat lot of good that did 'em. So this is where the techno-magic of this world first came from, Twilight hummed. If the rest of the artworks are any indication, they'd been advancing techno-magic for an astounding period of time before their collapse. I wonder how the ponies of Pandemonium managed to get hold of it all, Rarity thought aloud. Didn't TikTok say that a lot of the technology in the city was derived from techno-magic? Maybe one of the next ones has a clue to that, Twilight nodded. Right, I'm just going to turn my light on because the screen's blinding me at the moment. Right, sorry about that. The fourth inline depicted three figures standing upon a hill in what appeared to be a friendly exchange. One was a griffin clad in great purple robes decorated in all assortments of colours. The second was a pony, a Pegasus at that, with a gorgeous green coat and wearing an elaborate dress of silvers and blues. The third, to their surprise, was a zebra. Although much as the griffins in this world seemed strikingly dissimilar to those they knew from their home world, this zebra was not at all like the one zebra they knew. His body was much the same, decorated in grey and black stripes, and with tattoos and body paint, but he was garbed in decorative furs and leathers that covered him almost like armour, most striking of which was the horned helmet upon his head. His mane was long and unkempt, black as night. Alliance, circa 762 AD. Our ancestors extend the olive branch of peace and kindness to our neighbours, the ponies and the zebras. The mutual pact between our kinds ushers in an age of prosperity that would last nearly 500 years. With our assistance, the ponies expand their capital city of Utopia. The zebras do not accept our help in expanding their own capital of Zebraden, but do strike up an interest in our studies of biomancy. So they have zebras in this world too, huh? Fascinating. Yeah, but look at that guy. Rainbow pointed eagerly. He doesn't look like Zakor at all. He looks like he's suited up for a fight. Well, maybe we'll ask TikTok some more about them when we get a chance, Twilight nodded. The fifth inline depicted not griffins, but ponies. The group didn't like how their kind were depicted in this picture. Not one bit. It seemed that Pony fought against Pony in what appeared to be a bloody war. Ponies of one side wearing bright whites and purples, the other wearing darker blues and blacks. Mixed in were what appeared to be several zebras, and from their appearance they were apparently fighting alongside the ponies garbed in white. Some griffins could be seen overlooking the carnage, watching in disdain and disgust. Applejack was visibly disturbed by the painting and turned away from it. The first rise of darkness, circa 1207 AD. Pony kind, previously a mostly peaceful race, becomes involved in a terrible civil war between the faction of the Utopian elite, who were backed by the zebras and the senatorial coalition, who appealed to us for assistance. Records of the era were still unclear as to what started the conflict. Grand Council decides to relocate the Griffin capital to the uninhabitable northern continent to escape involvement in the fighting with the goal of geo-altering habitable lands. Oh dear, this doesn't sound good at all. What could have started something like this? I know ponies sometimes didn't. I knew some ponies sometimes get into disagreements with one another, and sometimes things come to sometimes things come to blows and stuff. But all that war? Rainbow gulped. I know ponies back home sometimes fight over territory of neighbours, but let's just move on to the next one. Applejack snorted. I ain't want to look at this one anymore, lousy piece of work. The sixth piece depicted a grand mountain range with a massive city in the centre. They had towering spires and great metal domes. The mountains glittered with gold. The city was the city with brilliant silvers and reds and purples, surrounded by a great green valley, covered in the tallest trees and clearest lakes they imagined could be possible in this world. Easily as impressive as those from their own. Settlement, circa 1315 AD. Godrich Pass geo-altered for habitation purposes. New Griffin capital of Aeropolis, founded in the lush valley created during the geo-altering process. Pony Civil War ends circa 1327 AD in an uneasy truce between the warring sides. Ponies of the former senatorial coalition begin settling northern continent to distance themselves from their former enemies, while Zebrakind elects to follow our example and isolate themselves from their former allies. The seventh picture again depicted something else instead of griffins, but it was something altogether unable to describe. It was as if pure essence itself was depicted here. Two such essences, in fact. One radiated a powerful magic of purest light and good, the other an equally powerful magic of the foulest darkness and evil. The energy radiating from the painting was enough to make Twilight and Rarity shudder in disbelief. Twilight, in particular, was unsettled by how much they felt like the magical essences she could feel from Princess Celestia and Luna. The Second Rises of Darkness, circa 1771 AD. The utopian elite's experiments on the magics, with the magics of ponykind leads them to discover the existence of the two alicorn goddesses of Gryphonia, Harmonia and Nihila. Yeah, I said it right. The utopian elite, with their obsession with order, adopt Harmonia as their own. Nihila is likewise worshipped and celebrated by the ponies of the north, who rename their fortress capital Pandemonium at her behest. Huh, so that's where the city got its start, huh? Still, it doesn't explain much of the timeline yet. There aren't any more murals. If we only knew how long it had been before Griffins all disappeared, we might be able to get some idea of how old this place is. As fascinating as all this stuff is, Twilight, can we hurry it along a little bit? Applejack pointed. Rainbow-eyed. Yeah, let's get moving, Twilight. We gotta find a way out of here, and strolling down memory lane ain't helping matters any. Come on, Rainbow. There's always time for discovery, Twilight said, winking at the paces. What would Daring Do say if you told her that you weren't interested in learning anything about the ancient ruins you were exploring? Well, Rainbow paused, having not considered this. After a moment, she shook her head. Daring Do just hasn't ever been in that kind of hurry we are. And besides, she's usually busy worrying about more trouts than taking the time to study. Daring Do's about action and adventure. Twilight nodded and shrugged, conceding the point. Fair enough. They continued on into the hall until they reached the door engraved with more of the glowing purple lettering spread across it, in what seemed to be sentences and everything. The lettering was smaller than what they could read plainly, and Twilight had to move in close to and it says quint, I think it's meant to say squint, to make it out. She was able to tell that, like the tablets that had led them into the sanctuary in the first place, the lines here were written in rhyme. Into the first you must go, a trial to test all you know. Your wisdom, your courage, your perception too. But fail, 'twill be the end of you. I'll give the Griffins credit, they write a pretty mean poem. I was never much for the art myself, but... Oh, is it another riddle perhaps? Rarity hummed. I don't think it's really a riddle. There's no hidden meaning or anything of the sort. It's pretty straightforward, don't you think? A test? Applejack asked. Certainly seems to be the case. It calls it a trial. This must be one of the safeguards of the sanctuary, to keep intruders and other unworthy candidates out. This one sounds like it's about, let's see, wisdom, courage, and perception. A problem-solving trial, perhaps? Twilight said thoughtfully. Warning? Fluttershy gulped. If we fail, it will be our end? Oh dear. I fear not, my dear Fluttershy. Rarity cooed as she cuddled the... Is that meant to say cuddled? I'm not sure. Cuddled the Pegasus. Your good friend Rarity won't let anything harm you, understand? Fluttershy frowned. I don't need you to protect me. Nonsense, darling, Rarity declared. I, Rarity, will keep you safe from all the dangers that surely lie ahead. I won't let anything in there hurt a single hair on your pretty head. We all will. Where'd we go? Dangers, huh? Well, that explains all that face the dangers garbage from the riddle, Rainbow said thoughtfully. Well, bring it on, I say. Right, Pinks? I don't know. Pinky shook her head. What if it's something really dangerous, you guys? You guys might get hurt, or worse. Oh, come on, Pinks. It ain't nothing in there gonna hurt us. Rainbow scoffed. It's all just fancy talk and boasting to scare off ponies, or griffins, that aren't worthy to go inside. It says it's gonna test our courage, right? Well, I say we head in there and solve this sucker. That's courage right there, ain't it? Applejack added, Yeah, and sides which, y'all heard Lockwood? The Griffins were peaceful folk. Heck, all them artsy things back there said they done moved away when there was fighting near 'em. They didn't want to get into no tussle with no pony or no griffin or nothing. I guess, Pinky frowned. Let's get this over with, Twilight declared, breaching the door with her magic. If what it says is true, this one is only the first. No telling how many there are, and no sense in wasting time worrying about it. Forward! Hang on, I'm just going to have a drink. Alright. No, TikTok shouted. That's not right at all. Please, TikTok, no need to shout. Lockwood winced as he put a hoof to his ear. If you want to disagree with me, that's fine, but holy cow, tone it down with it. Just a tad, eh? You're worse than patty cake. Flo groaned and threw his hoofs into the air. All this arguing is getting us nowhere. We've been at this for nearly an hour now, and you two still haven't come up with anything. I don't see you helping any, TikTok sneered behind her. If you want to offer an alternative, I'm all ears. But right now, all I'm hearing is you bitching and moaning like a bloody prima donna. Maybe Flathoof got sent along with all of the girls, and we somehow got stuck with Rarity in his body. Lucky jerk if he did, Lockwood muttered. Lucky jerk if he did, Lockwood muttered under his breath. I've already suggested we keep moving, Flower stammered. We're wasting time putting about and trying to learn a dead language to figure out anything. TikTok pushed their map into his face. Point me to where on this map you can see them, and we'll head there immediately. Oh, what's that? They're not on there? Oh, well Well then, it's a bloody waste of time just going wandering about without an idea where we're going. Do you want to get bloody lost in here? It's not a waste. What if you can't see them on the map because it's not full yet? Ever think of that, huh? How would we get lost with that thing anyway? It's perfectly possible to get lost with a map if you just wander around in circles. If you'd get that through your thick skull, maybe we could... Hey, calm down, both of you, Lockwood interjected. You two getting at each other's throats isn't helping us any. Fluff, I know you're worried about them, but please, just relax, okay? Everything I can tell about these Griffins leads me to believe that they're just fine. They're not going to be facing down a giant gargantuan or anything like that. They're probably on another level of the ruins that the map doesn't know about yet. Or something. We need to be patient and try to figure out where that might be. Precisely, TikTok agreed. So if you don't mind, I'd like to get back to deciphering this wall here, so we can figure out where to go next. I'm telling you, this symbol has something to do with that debate hall or whatever rubbish that you were talking about earlier with Twilight. It might be a good place to start. And I insist that it isn't the same symbol at all. Lockwood sighed. The symbol she was looking at looked like a griffin paw, remember? This one looks more like a talon, perhaps from a bird. Wait, don't griffins have claws too? Claws and paws. This is dreadfully confusing. A griffin paw is on their hind leg. TikTok groaned. This looks like it could be from their foreleg, which seems to me to be in line with their warlike inference that Sparkle got from her readings. If these griffins fought at all, they'd be fighting with their claws or talons or whatever they are in front. How can we be so sure that you're right, though? Did you see the symbol she was looking at when she started reading? Lockwood asked. Did you? TikTok asked right back. Well, no, he admitted, but she clearly called it a paw. This is a claw. They're not interchangeable. Perhaps Twilight was the one who got them mixed up. Horse apples, they're not interchangeable, TikTok blurted, then began pointing angrily at her map. Look, it's even in the same direction as you said the debate forum was in the first place. Who cares if Twilight called it a claw or a paw or whatever? That doesn't mean it's the same thing, though. It could be a completely different place or of business that's in the northwest corner of the city. Not the centre. We'd be going in the wrong direction. And for buck's sake, Fluff put a huff to his face. We're going in that direction anyway. Why are you arguing about it? TikTok spat. Because I'd rather try and find some sort of idea of where to start looking, and Featherbrain here is getting all the wrong ideas. Please don't start the name calling. I'm not about to start getting all huffy and puffy and trying to blow you up like a certain other unicorn. Lockwood rolled his eyes. Look, let's just drop it, shall we? You make a good point. We can follow this marking to the central area, or at least near it, and work from there. You're the one with the map. You lead the way. I'll just be back here, looking about and making observations that I hope might help. About bloody time, TikTok grumbled. From my guess, this symbol leads to that debate forum or whatever, and since we know where that is, it's a good start. Let's just follow the signs as best as we can and we'll find them in no time, okay? As TikTok ran ahead, Fluff whispered to Lockwood, between you and me, I hope she knows what she's doing. I just wish I knew what's got her all riled up for, Lockwood sighed. You, I can understand. She barely ever wants to talk to me. Yeah, I'm worried sick about them. I don't like that I'm not able to at least try and be there for them if something goes wrong. The way I should have been for Fluff trailed off. He grunted and shook himself back to his senses. I don't think she feels like that. I don't think she feels like that though, or at least she's not acting like it. I think she's just worried that her job is at stake if something happens to them. That may very well be, but that still means she does care. Lockwood smiled. I can tell sincerity when I see it. And that mare is nothing if not sincere about helping those girls make it home. I find it rather admirable that she hasn't given up in the face of everything that's happened, and that she puts up with it all. We haven't exactly been making things any easier on her than she is on all of us. Don't tell me you're going soft on her, old friend. Flav gawked. I didn't think mares like her were your type. Have you been giving Patty Cake the run around all these years when she really did get you all? What? No. Lockwood hastily responded. Never mind. She's an alright mare, I'll give her that. When she cans the short temper of her, she is rather attractive. But not enough that I am saying I'd start laying on the charm or anything. But that's not why I'm being sympathetic here. She is trying. Come on, Flav, give her a little break, Flav snorted. I'm not the one you need to convince. Lockwood shrugged. Fair enough. Come on. Let's not let her get too far ahead. My ears can't take another beating. A larger metal door slid open, letting out a great deal of smoke that spread out into the corridor before slowly sucking itself back in. 6 pony-shaped figures could be seen emerging from the smoke. The door closing behind them and leaving only a small amount of smoke left over to wade through, which they all hastily tried to push away from their hooves. Oh, thanks Celestia, that's over with. Twilight coughed as she pushed her way through the clearing smoke. She was covered head to hoof with dirty black soot that she was still busily cleaning off with her magic, as most of it stuck rather annoyingly to her vest. I can see why they included that little warning at the end. Remind me never to listen to Rainbow Dash ever again when she has ideas on how to solve a puzzle, Rarity complained, pointing dejectedly at her tangled scorched mane. Oh, my beautiful hair. My beautiful dress. And I just got the poor thing washed, too. Rainbow Dash. Just wait until we get home. You owe me some modelling time. Oh, come on, guys. It wasn't my fault, Rainbow said defensively, taking her goggles off and revealing great patches of untouched face. Pinky clung to her like glue, visibly shaken from the ordeal and frantically trying to smother a lingering flame that smouldered in her mane. Not your fault, Sugar Cube. When there's a button that says do not touch, common sense tells me that not to touch it. Applejack huffed as she shook the soot off her hat and shirt. Darn idiot idea that was, Dash. What in the hay was going through your head when y'all worked that one out? Hey, come on, guys, lighten up. I was just using my adventurous intuition. In the Daring Do books, the obvious solution to every puzzle is to do what is least expected. Whatever the builder of the test didn't think of. Rainbow Dash said nervously. A big puzzle room with a button like that is just begging for somebody to touch it. It sure was the easiest solution, wasn't it? Rainbow Dash, in case you haven't noticed, Rarity said, fluttering her eyes sweetly. Then her eyes narrowed and she shouted, This isn't a Daring Do book! Sheesh, relax, Rarity, Rainbow chuckled. We'll get your dress fixed up somehow. Hey, we made it through and everything, right? I'm set and ready for the next test. How about you, Pinks? See, I told you I was invincible. No, that explosion is going to keep me down. Pinky glumly nodded. Yeah, but that was just a little explosion. What if it had been bigger, huh? Then I just have to fly faster, Rainbow boasted. Seeing no reaction from Pinky brought Rainbow back down to earth, causing the Pegasus to shake her head. Come on, Pinks. What happened to finding fun in all the dangerous stuff? That was before I realised how much danger you were really in, doing all those things, Pinky grumbled. Nothing like a little danger to get the blood pump. Please don't mention blood, Pinky said, her face paling. I didn't need to get my blood pumping. Fluttershy shuddered as she clung tighter to Lockwood's relatively unharmed jacket. Whatever the thing was made of, it seemed mostly fire retardant. Well, this is just great, Twilight called from up several paces ahead. Out of one trial and straight into the next one. Before her stood another door, much of the same as the first, purple glowing letters and all. Let's see here. We've already gone through half an hour and we're barely a quarter through. That's great. Let's see here. The first is done, is left behind. For the second, a test of mind, a test of skill, a test of speed, acuity is what you need. But to move forth, do think clearly, or else you shall pay most dearly. Well, now this sounds like a different kind of trial altogether. A test of mind, skill, and speed. Sounds right up my alley. Rainbow proudly smirked. Yeah, all except the mind part there, bun masher. Applejack chuckled. Twilight stamped her hoof. Well, girls, no sense in wasting time. We finished one trial, we can handle another, can't we? As long as you don't let Rainbow Dash near any more buttons. Oh, that was Rarity. As long as you don't let Rainbow Dash near any more buttons. Rarity huffed. Man, I'm never gonna live that one down, am I? Rainbow muttered. That was a funny little bit. We're going around in circles, Flower said pointedly. I recognize this corridor. It looks like the one we just hit half an hour ago. Your brilliant little idea isn't working, TikTok. The halls all look the same, Flathoof, TikTok groaned. The map says we were right on track, and it just looks like we've gone in circles. We changed floors a few corridors back, then when we passed the symbol that looked like a feather, remember? Did we? I couldn't tell with all the lack of stairs. There don't seem to be any stairs at all. But we're definitely a higher elevation, Lockwood noted. It's a Pegasus thing. There must be an incline somewhere in there, but too subtle to really notice. According to the map, we're almost dead centre in the city. TikTok stated as she poked her hoof to it. Still no sign of them, though. Well, at least we're getting better at navigating these halls without Twilight, Lockwood assured her. I'm still not sure we're completely accurate on those translations of yours, but it's still better than nothing. Just take it easy. Take it slow, okay? How can you stay so calm? Fleur asked him. Seriously, Lockwood? I'm over here having a heart attack with every corner we round when I don't see them on the other side. You're always like this. You want to know how I make it look so easy? Lockwood asked in a steady tone. It's because I have to be calm. A calm mind helps one think clearly, helps one to analyse things and take count on what's important. We need to find them, yes, but if we get all in a panic about it, we're just going to wear ourselves out and start shouting at one another. I said I was sorry, TikTok grumbled. The trio rounded another corner and went through another hall that led into an archway where they suddenly stopped, find themselves at last in the city's central point. They all collectively let out a groan as they looked around the vast spherical chamber that had no walkways of any kind. Tunnels, dozens upon dozens of tunnels, leading off every which way, and their map only could tell them where the tunnel they just came from led. Only the very top of the ceiling was left bare for several yards around, a marking of a griffin's claw upon it. Well, so much for my theory of being organised, Lockwood sighed. Look at all these passages. There's no walls anywhere, just more and more passages. It's a central transit hub of some kind, TikTok said, rushing over her words as she unfolded her map to make it bigger, laying it down on the floor so they could all get a look. Okay, so the directions we've been following did at least lead us to the city central, so hopefully we can try and get a better idea of how these hieroglyphics translate. The Griffin claw must stand for centre, or something, and the paw must stand for something entirely different. If anything, our wrong translation was helpful. We have an official starting point to work with now. Better than some bloody debate hall or whatever. How we looped around all the way from the southeastern section of the city back around to the centre still baffles me, Fleur muttered. We're not seriously going to consider trying every one of these passages, are we? Look at them all. We can't even reach most of them. Oh heavens no. That's a terrible waste of time and effort, TikTok hastily said, shaking her head. We just need to find some sort of idea where we stand. See there? She pointed at the ceiling far above them, where a symbol of a griffin's claw sat. Seems we were right. The claw is at the centre of the room, in the centre of the city. So we've got that down. Now we just gotta try and figure out what these other markings mean. One of them should lead to something helpful, like a directory or something. She gestured out around her, where they could see various other symbols handing from arches in front of every single passageway. Each symbol was different, each one obviously leading to a different location. There are all sorts of vague ideas here, represented somehow by a single symbol that to the Griffins must have seemed quite natural and obvious, and even to Twilight Sparkle seemed simple enough to figure out with some effort. To Tick-Tock and Lockwood, he was trying to solve some manner of puzzle. A symbol that looked sort of like a feather obviously led somewhere. But where exactly did it lead? Some sort of grooming salon for Griffin feathers, perhaps? A mattress store? An airport? So if we follow one of these tunnels, Lockwood hummed, it should lead to whatever the symbol marks on the corridor represents, assuming we continue to follow the signs. So essentially, we need to find one of the symbols that could lead to wherever Twilight and the others ended up. Exactly. So following that logic, we know that we came from the corridor that was marked with the sanctuary, right? The six-pronged star? Tick-Tock said, pointing at the marking. Well, we know that just leads to the teleporter or whatever, so we have no immediate use for it. We need to think about where it could have taken them to, though. And then we'll have a good foundation for our search. Think back to the riddle. Anything useful there? Well, something about a proper source that we couldn't figure out before. Fleur scratched his head. Twilight figured it was magic of some kind, so maybe something to do with that? Sounds like a good place to start, Lockwood smiled. See, Flat Earth, just stay calm and think and we can figure this out. Now, what symbols here could have something to do with magic? And here comes the hard part, Tick-Tock sighed. There's more passages here than I can count, and I can't even see that far to the other side of the room. No need to go down them all one by one or anything, just a quick scan over. We're going to have to find which one of these corridors might be the proper way. Judging from the symbols, and by we I mean you, she added, pushing Lockwood off the ledge and into the chamber proper. He yelped and flapped his wings to stay airborne, and looked back at her with a pleading pout. Oh, come on now, surely you have some other way to... I don't. You can fly, not me. So you can do this quicker and easier than I can. But there's got to be nearly 100 or more of... Then you'd better get started, hadn't you? Lockwood rolled his eyes and sighed. Fine. I really hope this isn't too complicated. How am I supposed to know which symbols represent magic things? I have no idea. He trailed off as he flew away. As Lockwood floated off, Tick-Tock turned to Fleur at his side. That friend of yours is really something, isn't he? He sure is something, alright. Fleur chuckled. I'm not sure what, but whatever it is, it sure stands out, doesn't it? He's been like that for years. I can't wrap my head around where he pulls out these little niche ideas of his. Maybe a friend of his somewhere is an archaeologist. Tick-Tock shook her head glumly. You know what? She said. I'll admit it. I'm a little jealous. Of what? Fleur blinked. Lockwood's voice called from the giant chamber. Okay, Tick-Tock, I think I might have something to start with. Yeah? Tick-Tock shouted back. This symbol, it looks like a lightning bolt. I think it might lead to maybe a power station or something. If their society was powered by plain old electricity, they wouldn't need techno-magic. Oh, well, okay, thought I had something. Keep checking, she called back. She then turned back to Fleur. With what you two have, I mean. Fleur jumped a little, surprised that the conversation had suddenly been restarted. I don't mean just with one another. I have a close friend too, but you two are so much closer than I think I could ever hope to be with any pony. Not with all the work my job entails, anyway. Flav raised an eyebrow. This is sudden. What brings this on? I've got better hearing than you all seem to think. Twine and her friends don't think I really care, and I don't think you do either. You don't realise it, but I do know that you all think I think that way. That I'm just in this for being my job. Lockwood again. Hey, how about this one? It looks like a windmill. Well, what bloody use is a windmill? There's no grain out here for them to turn into bread or anything. Well, maybe they just liked windmills. Or maybe they used to like wind magic. You know, to power something. Right, okay, that's weird, but I'll jot it down. Turning back to Flathoof. That is what you all think, isn't it? That I just care about my job? Flathoof made to argue, but decided against it. He nodded glumly. You certainly don't act like it's any different than that. If you want to change any pony's opinion on it, you're certainly going about it the wrong way. Shouting and getting angry all the time, arguing over every little thing. I'll concede that you know a lot, but you could be a little nicer about it. TikTok sighed. I suppose you're right. I haven't done much to give any pony a reason to think otherwise. It is my job to get things done as quickly and efficiently and quietly as possible. It doesn't leave a lot of room for socialising, you understand. I am sorry if I come off as a little... Hey! Lockwood once more. Hey, how about this one? It looks like a book. Books are magic, right? We already tried the library once. Let's not try that again. But what if it leads to you? What if it leads us to them? Why would they have two entrances to the same place on opposite sides of the bloody city? That must be a different library or something. Right. Okay, just thought maybe... Never mind. I'll keep looking. TikTok turned back to Flathoof. Well, you're about to say something, it looked like. Right, about how you act. You're hostile. Flathoof said flatly. Yes, that. Like I said, I am sorry. Those other 6 mares, Starlight's group, made me realise something. That if I keep acting the way I do, I may end up driving you all away. I was worried sick that those 6 were going to be so impressive that Twilight would just up and decide you all didn't bloody need me anymore. So I'm sorry. I'm not the one who deserves an apology, you know. Those girls are having a very hard time of dealing with all of this. If any pony deserves to hear you say you're sorry, it's them. Twilight Sparkle most of all, I think. You give her a lot of flack for just trying to get her friends home as safely as she can. I know, it's hard, TikTok admitted. I've been at this job for only a few years, you understand, and until this assignment I never had any troubles. Trying to be amicable with all of you, while also running into setback after setback and problem after problem, nearly getting myself killed more times than I care to admit, and having give up something dear to me, all in such a short time span. It's put me a little on edge, you understand? Flathoof nodded. Surprisingly enough, I do understand. I do think you're trying to do your best to... I do think you're trying to do your best you can to help them. Don't let any pony say you're not, but why talk to me about this? Lockwood's the better counsellor. Why not bring this up to him? Lockwood's voice called again. Hey, I've got another one! Bloody hell, TikTok grumbled. Okay, what is it this time? It looks like a hat! That's brilliant. A hat? TikTok raised an eyebrow. What the bloody use is a hat? What, you think it might lead to rarity or something? And now she's going clothes shopping in a place like this. Not like a regular hat or anything, but like a wizard hat. Like on the cover of fantasy novels, you know, like parents read to their foals. That's actually a good one. Okay, I'll keep that one down here. See if you can find any more. Roger that. Bloke's too damn nice for his own good, TikTok chuckled. Turning back to Fluff again. I'm worried he's going to offer a shoulder to cry on and give me a tissue and a hug. I'm not out for that kind of mushy stuff. I just needed to get it off my chest to somebody that might understand what it's like. Failing to live up to your own expectations. I do owe you an apology though. Even if you won't accept it, I still blame myself for... I know what you're going to say, and don't. Just don't, okay? Fluff interrupted. The past is the past. We all make mistakes, and I can't really blame you for it. Much as I'd like to have somebody to blame for it that I could actually get my hooves on. Besides, it's a little late to try and apologise anymore for that. I have been meaning to talk to you alone about it if you've been occupied. For the first 3 days I couldn't get a chance, what with Applejack being there with you all the time lately though, I haven't seen you two talking much. Is something the matter between you, Between you two? Ugh, I wish I knew. Fluff sighed. Well, that's just more of it. That mare's been giving me weird looks lately. Like, angry looks too. Whenever I try to talk to you, I mean, it's unsettling, really. I think I know what you mean. I wish I knew more, Fluff admitted. Let's get back to the task at hand, shall we? We have some mares to find. Any ideas on what these symbols might mean? Right, of course. She nodded. Speaking of which, here comes our intrepid little explorer now. You must have run out of new symbols to report. Lockwood fluttered over and touched down just at the edge beside them, breathing heavily. Holy moly, that's a lot of holies. Well, anything else to work with? She asked. Hang on a second, just let me catch my breath. He started, holding up a hoof. Phew. Okay, so I found one that looked interesting. Kind of like a stick with a star on it. Like a wand or whatever it is that stage magicians use. Weird, eh? Interesting. TikTok scratched her chin. I'd read that Griffins had to manufacture other means to use magic, since they lacked unicorn horns. I know that all stage magicians are unicorns, and that wands are just for show, but that idea had come from somewhere. You might be onto something here. Much better than a silly hat or a windmill or whatever. Which tunnel is it? He backed off the ledge and pointed at a downward angle. TikTok walked out and looked over the edge and could see that the tunnel he was pointing at was directly below them. You've got to be bloody kidding, she said flatly. That's just going to lead right back the way we came. Well, glad we found this little central hub so that we could just lead us right back, Fluff scoffed. Well, at least we have a new lead, TikTok shrugged. Let's give it a look, shall we? Down we go! A large metal door stood open, and from it stepped 6 disgruntled mares. There was something disarmingly different about them that compared to how they'd looked walking into the chamber they'd just come out of. And not one looked at all pleased to be put in such a situation. They all just rather looked at one another with varying degrees of annoyance, confusion or disappointment. Well, at least it wasn't my fault this time, so I want to hear no complaints from any of you guys. No pointing hoofs, none of that. Rainbow Dash huffed as she brushed her long blonde... What? Rainbow huffed as she brushed her long blonde mane out of her face. What? Jeez, AJ, how do you deal with this thing? I can never fly with a mane like this. Too much damn wind resistance. Now don't you start complaining about having your mane ruined. Rarity huffed, blowing a large puff of pink curly mane out of her face. Pinky darling, did you know just how uncooperative your hair is? This puffy thing just can't decide what it wants to do. How do you even get it in this style? The curls just don't make any sense. They're almost unnatural. Sorry, Rarity. Pinky frowned. Don't apologise to her, Rainbow said quickly. You didn't do anything wrong. Rarity's just in a fit because her hair is so much better on you than it is on her. Really. If this is the biggest thing she's going to fuss about, I think we've proven we're not in any danger here, right, Pinks? Pinky wiped her eyes and nodded. Well, yeah, at least I don't have anything to worry about this time. To tell the truth, I don't mind it all that much. I kind of like it. That's because y'all got Twilight here. And she's going to have the easiest man out of all of us to keep in check. So, except to maybe Rainbow Dash, who don't even do anything with hers, Applejack said pointedly, her shining purple mane bobbing and weaving as she turned her head. Oh, like you're suddenly an expert on style? Rainbow said indignantly. At least I do something with my hair. You can't just wake up and put your hair in a tail and call it a day, you know? I ain't got much to say other than I sure am glad I ain't got a hassle with keeping my usual mane so prim and tidy, though. Rarity, this here highfalutin mane of yours just feels dang weird. How in the hell you deal with it? For that matter, how in the hell are you keeping it so dang neat with nothing to style it? Years of practice, dear Applejack, Rarity laughed. To be honest, I'd have rather gotten your mane than Pinky's. Maybe I'd finally had a chance to give that gorgeous golden hair of yours a real proper treatment, I do so regret not being able to give your hair just the most darling styles for some of the most formal adventures we've been invited to. You can work on it while it's on me, Rainbow offered jokingly. It ain't mine, so I don't care what you do to it. Over my dead body, Applejack snorted. Please don't say that, Pinky sniffed. Every pony just calmed. Ugh. Twilight tripped over her long, flowing pink mane. Ow. Oh, careful, Twilight. That's my hair you're stepping on. Fluttershy peeped, desperately trying to find a way to hide her face under her much shorter, rainbow-coloured hair. What? Worry she's going to mess up your mane? Rainbow chuckled. Looking good, by the way, Fluttershy. You want to think about making that permanent look? I'd say you look maybe 5% cooler. Relatively speaking, ain't much, but still, better than nothing. Perish the thought, Rainbow Dash, Rarity gasped in mock worry. Why, it would be a crime against style if dear Fluttershy decided to take your butch cut. She is perfectly suited to the style she already has. And as soon as Twilight stops fooling around, we get all back to normal, and she won't have to worry about anything so dreadfully unnecessary. Yeah, just joking around, Rares. Rainbow waved a hoof. Take it easy. Look at the bright side. You could have ended up with my hair. Rarity paled. Oh my, I look dreadful. Rainbow tone does not mesh well with a white coat. Such a horrible clash. Oh, and that cut. Oh my, absolutely horrid. Most unladylike. Why, I'd be laughed out of any social get-together I ever attended. Wow, gee, thanks for letting me know what you think of my hair, Rares. Rainbow muttered. Twy, could y'all please just fix this already? Applejack pleaded. Really sounds like she's about 10 seconds away from busting out the whining. And y'all know I can't take none of that. Hang on, Twilight grunted as she got back in her hoofs. This kind of alteration, I suppose, is pretty basic and easy enough to fix with some concentration. Not at all punishing when compared to flamethrowers and explosions. Are we still harping on about that? Rainbow rolled her eyes. Jeez, let it go already. I had to listen to it the whole time we were going through that last test. And I think your head was somewhere else the whole time because of it. I told you the cherries were in the top left and the far right spots. But no paying listen to old don't push the button dash. Typical. Okay, here we go, Twilight announced, brightly charging her horn. A brilliant light flashed about, and when it cleared, Well, you're all half right there, Twi. Applejack frowned. She looked at her mane. It was neatly tied back in her tail again, but still very much a royal purple. At least it don't feel weird no more. Now it just looks weird. Oh heavens, this will not do. Rarity flustered as she observed her impeccably starred pink mane. This colour is not me. If you will beg my pardon, Pinkie Pie, it fits just gorgeously on you, dear, but it doesn't mesh with my white coat. No offence intended, of course. None taken. Pinkie shook her head, her curly mane bobbing to and fro in various shades of purple. Rainbow had to stimmy a laugh as she looked at Pinkie Pie. Pinks, that bubble curl of yours doesn't work so well with so many colours in it. It looks like you dunked your head in a tub of wild berry sherbet. Hey, doesn't that sound delicious, Pinks? I could go for a scoop myself right about now. I do like that flavour. Pinkie nodded. Rainbow sighed as her repeated attempts continued to fail flat. Oh my. First I looked behind her. Wow, Rainbow, maybe you're the one who should reconsider their hairstyle. Your hair looks so pretty when it's long like this. Yeah, whatever, Rainbow said dismissively. Like I said, wind resistance, terrible for flying, dumb idea, etc., etc. Come on, Twi, stop messing around and get this all fixed up. I'm Rainbow Dash, not Blondie Dash. I look like Derpy with this colour and this cut. Hold on, I'm trying, Twilight grunted. Flashing another spell as the light cleared, she looked around and every pony was back to normal. Oh, thank goodness, Rarity cooed as she stroked her mane. Did you miss Mommy, sweetie? Mommy missed you. Well, glad that's all out of the way, Applejack sighed as she readjusted her hat back on her head. Look, there's another of them doors up ahead. Another trial thingy? Seems that way, Twilight nodded as she approached it. Ahem. The second test is done and gone. The third test is what lies beyond. Before you venture further forth, it may be wise to take a rest, for deep within this last trial, we will judge your guile. Fight back your fears all the while, lest you fail this simple test. Beyond the door you must go, to face your very last test. Truly, it is for the best. Oh, I was kind of expecting it to rhyme more, but there you go, beggars can't be choosers. Looks like we're almost done, girls. One more to go. This one sounds bad, Pinkie shuddered. We'll handle it, Pinks, no problem, Rainbow assured her. I'm eager to see what lies beyond this one, Rarity said thoughtfully. If we get past this one last test, we'll find out where all that magical energy is coming from, won't we? Certainly seems like it, Twilight nodded. We're getting closer to it, that's for certain. Hopefully whatever it is, it can help us. Is every pony ready? Darn tootin', Applejack said proudly. Hell yeah! Rainbow boasted. Bring that sucker on. Right then, Twilight declared. Let's hop to it. Forward! Here's the next one. TikTok grinned, pointing her hoof at a symbol shaped like a rod with a star at one end. Come along, boys. We've got to be getting closer. She's getting awfully enthusiastic, isn't she? Fleur said, leaning close to Lockwood. You're sure this is going to lead us somewhere? Well, I'd rather have her yelling because she's pleased with herself than because she's angry at some pony. Lockwood shrugged. Besides, this is the best lead we're going to get, most likely. TikTok certainly thinks so, at any rate. That is what she thinks, anyway. Not that I trust her judgment that much. Fleur nodded. I just hope you two are right about this. I wouldn't want to find out we're wasting our time, or worse, every moment we're fooling around here is another that we're not helping them. Fleur, buddy, relax, Lockwood said wearily. Come on, they're going to be fine. This path we're on has led to something to use to us, right? Maybe it'll lead to a map or something, or a magical, trinket or something that can help us find them. At this point, I'd take a cafeteria. I'm starving. I hear you there, old friend. I'm sure this is the right thing to be doing, though. Flo sighed. I really hate to think something terrible has happened to them. I can't help it, Lockwood. TikTok called from up ahead. I found another one! Come on, you two, stop lollygagging about. There's no time for idle chit-chat. Don't tell me you two strapping lads are going to let a bloody girl outpace you. We're not lollygagging, Flo huffed. We're trying to make us feel emasculated isn't going to work anymore. So lay off that crap, eh? I already feel like a damn wimp after getting my butt whipped by that grayscale mare. So anything you say isn't going to make me feel any worse. We've been out this for hours, and to be frank, I'm starting to run a little ragged. These tones aren't exactly well ventilated. I'm running out of breath here. She looks like she works out a lot more than you, or any pony for that matter. Mare is built like a truck. Even still, she's certainly as big as any stallion. Maybe you really are out of shape, Lockwood asked with a concern. Let's take a break for a moment, shall we? Flair's right. I'm running ragged here. Oh, was he shouting to... what? Yeah. TikTok started. A break? Really? Come on. We haven't got time for... Lockwood held her hoof to interrupt her. Please, TikTok, just for a moment. He subtly tilted his head to the side, a gesture she picked up. Oh, alright, but only for a moment. I'm going to examine this sigil again, if you'd like to help. A grand idea, he replied, walking up alongside her to the sign on the wall. As TikTok tried to decipher the symbols on the next sigil, she muttered nonchalantly, Something on your mind? I wasn't expecting you to want to have a chat with me. This won't take long. I want to ask this privately, so as not to worry Flatwolf any further, but are we sure that we're going the right way? I mean, I'm no expert on magic. I just thought that symbol looked like magic wands I'd seen stage magicians use. Figured it had something to do with magic, but it just seems sketchier the more I think about it. There was worry in his voice that she'd noticed before. It's the best I could ask for, given the circumstances, she added. Is something bothering you about it? I think it's pretty solid. I think it's a pretty solid lead. Not anything in particular. I'm just concerned that maybe we're following a false lead. Sure, I haven't been acting like it, she said pointedly. I know. He half nodded. Look, I'm just trying to keep Fire at ease. The poor guy's having a breakdown. I know I'm right. And that they're all going to be okay. I have to believe it. I need to believe it, but... well, Dow is a horrible little creature, and I have my doubts, small as they are, that we're doing this the right way. I've just got this weird feeling that we're not in the ruins anymore, that we really are wasting our time like this. But I've got to keep up my confidence in light of all that, because I don't need him having a panic attack. I can't say I disagree with you, TikTok sighed. This does seem to be a wild goose chase after all. Like Flo said, we have been running about for hours now with no sign of them. Granted, there isn't much to go on, but I see your point. Lockwood suggested, maybe we should just be looking for another route out of the city instead, and wait for them there. That pins a lot of hopes on them finding their way out of whatever trouble they may have ended up in. But I know Fire would rather we don't do that. But it's all I can think of, since this doesn't seem to be getting us anywhere. I really hate to sound like I'm giving up, but I don't know what else to do. That's not necessarily a bad idea, TikTok conceded, but maybe we should at least see where the corridors lead first, right? I'd hate to think we're following it all this time for nothing. It is taking us back in the direction we came from after all, and going east is the best mentality. I might be right, who knows. Maybe this leads to the exit or something, Lockwood suggested. Right, a valid idea. Should we tell No, let's just let him think we're still adamant on this whole thing. Lockwood hastily dismissed. If he thinks we're giving up or feeling doubtful, he's just going to get worse. You've heard him. He's worried sick. I know him well enough to know when he's in a panic, because he can't be there to help them if something does go wrong. I really wish there was more that we could do, but what can we do? TikTok frowned. He'd rather not see any pony else get close to him get hurt without him being there to stop it. Poor bloke. He's still beating himself up about that whole thing, is he? I keep trying to tell him that I'm the one who should be bloody well feeling the regret, not him, but... And I'm going to tell you the same thing I'm sure he has. Don't blame yourself for it. Believe me, I've tried to get him to open up to me about it, but he says he said I just wouldn't understand. He doesn't really know how much I'd be able to relate. But I'm not going to trouble him with my own words. I thought he'd been getting better, but the past few days he's seemed to be getting worse about it. I thought Applejack had been helping him open up, but something's been amiss lately between them, and I can't put my hoof on why. I was hoping he'd talk about it, but no luck. I've noticed it as well, TikTok nodded. He said he had no idea what it was about. Lockwood sighed. That's exactly what he told me. I don't think he's lying, of course, but I don't buy it wholesale. He's got to have some sort of idea. TikTok shook her head. All I know is she's been giving me rather dirty looks as of late. I'd hoped he'd know what that was about too, but no luck. She sighed. I suppose we shouldn't keep him waiting any longer. When we find those girls. I'm sure he'll come out of this little funk he's in. That's got to be what's keeping him going. I know it's what's keeping me going. Come on, let's get moving, yeah? Agreed. He nodded. He turned to Firehuff. Hey bud, we're moving out now. You ready? Yeah, I'm all set, Firehuff said as he got to his hoofs. Anything new to report? Same old. TikTok shook her head. Come on, we can't be much further now. Why, I bet they're just around the next bend or two. And I assure you, Lockwood added, they're totally fine, okay? Oh, I need my drink again. Right. This is a really long one. I'm not really sure I like this. Might actually run out of time. Oh crap. Oh crap, I just... Okay, well I just scrolled manically. Okay, here we are. A large metal door slid open, releasing a musty air that smelled of musk and other things that were altogether pungent and unpleasant. Twilight Sparkle was the first to step out, followed slowly by Rarity and Applejack and the others, all of them being very careful not to look at one another and all of them slightly damp, though that problem was steadily being wordlessly solved by the two unicorns as quickly as they could. Twilight was the first to speak after several moments of awkward silence. Okay, it's all over with. We got through it. Now, if every pony doesn't mind, let's just all agree never to speak of this again, yes? No arguments here, darling. Rarity shuddered while making absolutely sure her mane, tail, coat and dress were all dry and devoid entirely of the wetness that had been smeared through them just moments ago. My lips shall remain sealed forevermore. Yeah, not a word of what happened in there, to any pony, Applejack quickly added, carefully examining her hat and shaking off some of the dampness that remained. Let's just keep on moving and forget it ever happened. We all agree? Yeah, as soon as somebody can find me some bleach for my brain, Rainbow said in disgust, desperately wiping the lenses from her goggles. Even she and Pinky were hesitating to make eye contact for them at the moment. Thanks to Celestia, we don't have to go through anything like that ever again. Check it out, up ahead. You're right, no more doors, Twilight nodded. I think I can still see light up ahead. Come on every pony, let's see what's further in. We've got to be close in the sanctuary proper by now. Wow, you feel that, Rarity? That magic force up ahead is really powerful when we're even this close. Ganon, can you just tell me what that last test was? Or you could just tell me what all the tests were about, so, you know, all rather vague and all that, but, you know, don't have to. As just to feed my curiosity. It's making my horn feel all tingly, Rarity said giddily. Oh my, it feels just wonderful. A shame the rest of you can't feel it. Well, it can't be that impressive, the rest of us can't feel it, Rainbow shrugged. We could feel what Starlight was capable of, but not this. It's not the amount, it's the kind, Rarity said curtly. Quality over quantity, my dear, Rainbow Dash. They entered into the archway of the hall ahead, and were all stunned at what they saw. Twilight sparkled most of all. They now stood in the gigantic chamber with a ceiling that stretched up higher than they could see, and a floor equally far beneath, as the bridge leading to the structure continued all the way through to the abyss beyond. The only thing keeping them from accidentally tripping and falling into the dark void below was a thick magical barrier to their sides, like a railing glowing a faint blue. But that wasn't what struck them with awe. It was what filled the rest of the chamber. Massive columns stood stretching from far above them to far below. Columns not of stone or metal of any kind, but of the purest, most beautiful magic Twilight had ever seen. It all flickered and shined in various colours, and depending on the colour of the magic, seemed to move in a different manner. The bluish-white streams cracked and snapped, along like lightning. Red ones flowed thick and slow like towers of magma. Green spirals coiled and snaked like serpents or vines. Purples and pinks stood firm and solid but glowed the brightest white, golds and oranges spun like mighty tempests. To Twilight it was as if every single form of magic was represented here in some manner. Restomancy, meteomancy, alchemy, geomancy, thaumaturgy, divination, everything. This isn't a library of knowledge, Twilight declared with wonder and amazement in her tone. This is a library of magic. This is the single most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. Sure is pretty, Rainbow whistled. Check some of that stuff out, it's like liquid magic or something. Absolutely gorgeous, Rarity gasped. Oh goodness, so many ideas, so much inspiration. Oh, I do so wish I had my notebook with me. I would absolutely love to make some sketches. I know what you mean, Rarity, Twilight nodded in appreciation. I could study these torrents of magic all day and never get bored. Everything you could want to know about magic, all within a hot reach. It's like something out of a fairy tale. Well, for the rest of us, that ain't distracted by the wonderment of all that jazz. We're heading further on. There's gotta be more than this here, right? Right, of course. Twilight hastily agreed. Gotta ignore distractions. We're trying to find a way out, after all. If only we didn't have to be in such a hurry. Walking further along the bridge for a few minutes, they got a sense of the chamber's size. They still couldn't see the other side even from here, and by now had lost sight of the archway they'd entered through. Oh, pardon me. As they walked past dozens upon dozens of pillars of magic, they eventually saw ahead of them another large cubical structure, made of a strange black metal that gleamed brightly from all the light in the room. Surrounding the structure itself was an array of bizarre devices that seemed to be collecting trace amounts of the magical energy in the air, and streaming it through the building itself. Twilight and company walked through the entranceway of this smaller structure and were met by a stranger sight still. All of the magical energies in the air outside that was being pumped inside was gathering in a small compartment at the top of the chamber, which had more strange devices attached to it that connected to all sorts of things that reminded them of the machinery that they remembered when seeing back in the city. Far beneath this compartment was a raised central platform of sorts. All around, even the smallest structure with the endless one that it resided in was larger than the grand ballroom at the royal palace back at home, easily by a factor of 5 to 1. They approached a sort of station in the centre of the room. Twilight was the first to step forward and try to figure out what it was. It was covered in buttons and switches, knobs of all shapes and sizes and colours, with flashing lights and bars spread throughout, surrounding even still by large sheets of what looked like glass that magically displayed images of things that she could not readily understand. This must be a central database, she observed, like the one they had at the city. Fascinating. I bet we could find anything we want in this. If all that magic is out there, if all that magic out there is what powers it, it's probably loaded with all sorts of juicy information. Do y'all know how to work it, Twilight? Applejack asked. Well, I could try to figure out something. I had a little experience with what the ponies in Pandemonium use, and this appears similar, just more complex, she admitted. In other words, y'all ain't got a clue, do you? Applejack said flatly. Twilight looked sheepish. Well, no. All the symbols here are in hieroglyphics, so I'm not quite sure if I can figure out what it all means. Maybe if I tried to get them to glow again. She leaned her horn in and lit it up, but nothing seemed to be happening. Well, shoot. There goes that idea. Worth a try, girls. Any pony else hear that? Applejack asked, referring to the small metal clicks coming from somewhere behind them. Probably just one of the devices around here or something. Twilight dismissed. May as well start looking around, see if we can't find anything else. Rainbow groaned and shot her hoods in the air. Find anything? Look around, Twilight. Other than that little computer station or whatever it is, and that big thing up on the ceiling that's collecting all that magic out there, there's nothing in this room at all. I wouldn't be so sure. Wait, what? I wouldn't be so sure, a voice said from suddenly behind them. Rainbow jumped in the air in surprise, and the others all rapidly turned to see who'd spoken. Their jaws all collectively dropped, instinctively. She and her friends got into defensive positions. They'd had one too many bad experiences with strangers in this world, to drop their guard now. Griffin? Twilight blurted. No need to act so surprised, child. The Griffin spoke hoarsely, his voice slow and purposeful. This is Griffin territory. I'll try and do a bit deeper. I would think it should stand that you'd see a Griffin here, wouldn't you all agree? You can all relax yourselves as well. I won't hurt you. I'm just an old Griffin, getting too far along in his years to be much threat to any Griffin or any pony. But TikTok said you guys were extinct! Rainbow blurted. Applejack nudged her hard, making Rainbow quickly out. I mean, that's what I heard anyway. Extinct? Ha! Not quite yet. But that may as well be true, he replied, stepping towards the hub behind them. No, Griffins aren't quite extinct just yet, but I'm afraid that they're not exactly going to start repopulating anytime soon. Oh no. I can't say I'm surprised that my visitor's first question was about that subject, though. He was much larger than them, easily by more than TikTok's predicted amount. He was perhaps twice their size, but only in general, as he didn't appear particularly broad or muscular. He was also very old, as could be told by his bushy grey beard. His wiry grey hair that fell in tangles around the side of his face and his tattered robes. He actually looked quite frail, reminding them all quite like elderly ponies. They'd all seen back home that had been getting much too far along in their years. while his regular body parts appeared frail at the very least. That was what was most perplexing to them all. That he possessed quite irregular body parts. Both of his wings were not covered in feathers and fur like a griffin should have, but rather were made of a strange series of metallic joints and electrical panels, blinking with tiny green and red dots that hissed and creaked whenever he moved them. His left claw has much of the same, as was his tail and entirely of his hind legs. A great portion of his chest was covered in a similar plated material, with multiple flashing lights, including one particularly large light near where his heart would be. At the moment it hummed a dim yellow. The left side of his face marched well to the rest of him. The eye was gone, and in its place was a strange green lens, attached to more of the plates and electrical gizmos and gadgets, and a telescoping tube that rotated in and out as he looked back and forth across the mares. His other eye was a glassy, dull blue, and was the last evidence they needed to see that he was not merely old, but ancient. You alright there, old guy? Rainbow asked. You look like you're lugging around a lot of weight. Rarity shot Rainbow Dash a look and hissed in her ear. Heavens, Rainbow Dash! Show some tact! Poor fellow must be weary. At least try to fake some sort of empathy. What? Hey, come on! I asked if he was okay! Rainbow said defensively. Rarity looked at Fluttershy and tilted their head towards the old Griffin. Fluttershy nodded in understanding, and the two of them took some steps forward as the Griffin slowly made his way towards the hub station, assisting him in taking steps up onto the raised platform. There we are, my good fellow, Rarity said sweetly. Here, allow me to help you into your chair. Do you need anything, Mr. Griffin? Fluttershy peeped. Thank you, my dears. I'm quite all right. The Griffin smiled weakly as she helped ease him in. Your rainbow mane friend there is observant, though. I am an old Griffin, with a great amount of weight upon my shoulders. What is all that stuff? Twilight asked in wonder. The finest in techno-magic bionics. The Griffin laughed. He coughed a little in between, and pounded his good claw a little on the flashing red light on his chest until it turned green. Well, they were at the time when they were invented. I'm afraid they've fallen quite behind in times, much as I have, and I lack the materials to properly repair them. But I digress. No Griffin, or rather no pony, wants to hear the complaints of an old Griffin like me. Now then, I see you've managed to enter into my sanctuary. That's good. That's very good indeed. Yes, we, solved your riddle, Twilight sheepishly admitted. Yeah, accidentally, you mean? Rainbow rolled her eyes. Old Twilight here was just trying to shine some light on it when it started glowing and brought us all here. She doesn't even know how it happened. Thank you for being so blunt, Rainbow, Twilight said flatly. And we got a pair of them trials of yours too, Applejack said proudly. Barely, Rainbow added. Okay, the first was my fault, I'll admit, so you'll shut up about it, but we got through. No matter, the Griffin waved dismissively, his metal claw clicking rapidly as metal scratched against metal. It has been a long time since I've had any visitors. 931 years, I believe, give or take. I have long lost any sort of concern for how I come by any company, but I'd much rather get started on learning who my company is first. We can deal with the details later. Now tell me, who are you all? Oh, forgive me. I forgot to introduce ourselves, Twilight blushed. My name is Twilight Sparkle. And these are my friends. Applejack, howdy. Rainbow Dash, hey. Rarity, a pleasure. Fluttershy, hello. And Pinkie Pie, hi. And who might you be? Twilight asked. Oh, and who might you be? Twilight asked. The old Griffin smiled. Such a bright group of ponies. And with such lovely colours. It's not often I see such a diverse coats and manes in those of your kind from around here. The city ponies are usually so drab and boring. All browns and greys, just like their towering skyscrapers are. But where are my manners? My name is Gilderoy, and I am the caretaker of the Sanctuary of Knowledge, lawkeeper of all Griffin's scholastic arcane knowledge. That's a mouthful, Rainbow blinked. Then her eyes brightened as she looked at Pinky. You're keeping track, right, Pinks? That's 5 Griffins now, we're starting with G. I told you guys I saw a pattern. Yes, the Sanctuary of Knowledge, Twilight nodded, ignoring Rainbow Dash's ramblings. Where exactly are we, anyways? This place looks so much unlike the ruins of the city at Aeropolis, I believe. If those murals back there are accurate, at any rate. Ah, yes, Aeropolis. Oh, how I miss those brilliant those bright halls, so Gilderoy said glumly. He coughed again and pounded his chest. The sanctuary is aptly named because it is a neutral zone. No one can enter here without my permission, and those that manage to without it still must face the trials as you will have done. It is quite distant from Aeropolis proper, and yet is not all the same. What does that even mean? Rainbow blurted. It means, my dear Dash, that this is what has been dubbed a pocket dimension. It is a tiny, self-contained universe that has unlimited space, all crammed neatly into a real-world object, and is physically much smaller. It is a fascinating trick our kind learned from allies of ours. Incredible! Pocket dimension smells of very high caliber. Twilight smiled knowingly. So what's the purpose of the sanctuary then? What exactly is it that you do here? This, my little ponies, is my long life's work, he proudly declared, pausing to cough and pound his chest again for a moment. Ahem. As I was saying, this is my long life's work. All those beautiful pillars of light and magic out there represent every single field and branch of magic that exists, from academancy to zoomancy and everything in between. As the last lawkeeper and caretaker of this facility, it is my duty to monitor and study those fields. Twilight excitedly nodded. Yes, I recognize the signatures of some of the mattresses out there, and I find it incredible. We even have some of the rarer fields of magic represented here. Things I only remember reading about and experiencing in my studies, but never seen in such raw states. How do you do all this? I don't mean to be rude, but come on, Twi. We don't have time to be studying and debating on magic and all that egghead stuff, Rainbow blurted. We need to get out of here and get back on track so we can make it home in time. We came here looking for a map, remember? Oh, you're seeking a map? Gilderoy raised a metallic eyebrow. Such a trivial concern to come seeking a place such as this for. Well, we thought this was a regular library, Twilight admitted. Not all of this. Is there any way we could direct us to the Griffin library, though? Oh, I'm afraid the Griffin library has long been pilfered. Roughly a few years after the fall, I presume by the very same who brought the horrible curse upon us. Oh, what a terrible time that was for my kind. At times I wish I had died along with them all. At times I curse living here where I cannot be harmed, except by the ravages of time, which is a harsher master still. The fall? Twilight asked. Oh, is that the event that TikTok was talking about? The one where your people were, Gilderoy put his regular claw upon her head to ease her trepidation. No need to beat around the bush, my dear. Genocide is a delicate topic, but I have long had time to reflect and mourn. Yes, the fall is what we called it. Though we obviously had little time to record the information, we knew what was happening the moment it began, already far too late to reverse. Did you not notice that in the riddle? Ah, so that's the fall the riddle spoke of. The one that needed to be resisted. Twilight eagerly nodded. We figured it was something else entirely. That it is. I erected a tablet, hoping that some of my kind would escape and one day return to find me here, to help me rebuild our people, but it has been far too long for any hope of that to come to pass. I am afraid I am the last of my kind, and a great weight has been placed upon my shoulders to ensure our people's greatest works are not forgotten, or lost to the horrors of the ages. Hence all the machinery. He smiled glumly as he flexed his metal wings with great hisses and creaks. I seem to be replacing pieces of myself every few dozen years or so, and I fear it will not be long before I am nothing more than an old Griffin's brain and a metal body. A pity our kind has never managed to perfect it before our end. I hear you ponies have done wonders with our techno-magic, though I do regret the circumstances in which they came into your possession. That's all mighty fancy, lad, but it don't really explain much. Applejack scratched her head. Yeah, can you help us or can't you? Rainbow asked rather briskly. Twilight shot a look. Rainbow, don't be rude. It's quite all right, dear Miss Sparkle. I'm sure the young lady would like to continue with whatever quest you all were on before you stumbled along down here. You say you were seeking a map? Well, while I cannot offer you one to you, unfortunately, I can at least tell you the way out of the city, but I'm afraid you wouldn't like it. Can't we just go out the way we came in? Applejack asked. We went over that this morning, Applejack, Twilight said quickly. We risk running into Starlight's gang if we go back that way so soon. Who knows if they're waiting for us there? And besides, that route will take too long to go to the coast. If TikTok's assessment is correct, and hers is the only one we have to go on in that situation, since we don't know how big this place is. Go on, Mr. Gilderoy. Well, the only other way out of the city is the northeast aqueducts, but that leads to a place that has long been cursed and tainted, and where the plague that killed my people originated. I'm not sure what you ponies call it today, but in our kind's time we called it Red Death, a region of untamable dark magics that polluted and corrupted the very ground beneath it to create a land accursed abominations. We directed a magical barrier around the region after the war to keep the evil magic that soaked the place sealed away. His face suddenly turned dark, his good eye filling with seething hatred, but the one responsible for my people's genocide broke that seal and funneled the magics down here, knowing full well that our own barrier would not protect against it tainting of the land beneath it. My only consolation is that the horrible plague did not work properly on my people. It merely killed them and did not turn them into monstrosities, as does with your kind. Oh my, Twilight blanched. What do you mean, monstrosities? I don't think describing them would do much justice, nor do I think any of you would be able to stomach the detail, he shuddered. Let's just say that I urge you and your friends to make haste through the region, lest you find out for yourselves. Great. Into another death trap we go, Rainbow huffed. I'm seeing another pattern here. Twilight hummed. That sounds awfully dangerous. Is there another way? The magic has since dwindled greatly in power and does not kill outright anymore, Gilderoy assured them, but the horrors have been affected by it are still bound to it, and they can still spread the plague the old-fashioned way like any disease. Your original assessment is correct, though. That is the quickest way through the coast. A group as large as yours should be able to handle the dangers there. What exactly did happen to your people anyway? Twilight asked. Come on, Twilight, this ain't no time for a history lesson, Rainbow blurted. We've got a schedule to keep. Rainbow Dash, I want to know if there's anything that happened that we need to keep an eye out for. Twilight explained sharply. Those who ignore the lessons of history are doomed to repeat it. It's a very well-known saying. And a very wise one, Gilderoy nodded. Fear not, my dear Miss Dash. Miss Sparkle's curiosity is well-founded. There are a great many things one can learn from just a little look into the past. Fine. Rainbow grumbled. This better not take too long, though. We'd better get something useful out of it. Right, well, I'm barely halfway through this, and it's been 1 hour and 45 minutes, and I don't think I have that much time left, so I'm going to end this part here. It'll be a two-parter. So yeah, I hope you join me for part 2 of chapter 19. Yeah, not much else to say. Thank you for listening. I hope you have enjoyed the first rough half of this story. Thank you for listening. Yeah, keep on spreading the magic of friendship, and I'll see you next time.